I introduce myself as Raidas, given by my Guruji Muniraj in 85, born in Germany in the year 57. My parents gave me the name of Marcus Maria. So I came in this home of Babaji in the year 85. From very young age, I had the feeling here in this country, in Germany, in my home, wonderful people around me, everything is sound and well set, comfortable, but I felt I've dropped from somewhere. It's not my place and it's not my people. My parents were very religious, not just my parents, the whole family, very religious inclined, Christians, priests and nuns and so on in my family, a number of. So I've had that around from very young age. But I remember that apart from what I did with them, I also had a period where I did my first sadhana. That was when, just by inner guidance, that was when I would go in the mornings early. We were living not far from the church. So it was about 5, 6. I had a period when I would go in the dark in the morning to the church where only 2, 3 grandmothers maybe were there. And I would have established a very intimate personal relation with Christ. That was my first sadhana. And I remember also the moment when in a family gathering, the elders would discuss the fact of reincarnation. Being Christian and being this not propagated in this line, they were against that point. Myself as a little boy, I was max 5. I thought by myself, if God is just, and He must be just to be God, it can't be some people live and grow up in such an abundant, easygoing, and others are living just in a misery. It can't be so that they got only one chance. Okay, that was just a moment. It was clear to me. I didn't share it. I wouldn't believe it. So that was my young age. From very young age later, a few years later, I was very curious about life. This nicely settled life, that was not all. So very curiously, with very young age, I used to go hitchhiking to the city and by myself. I had to live a secret life I had a double version, my own life and my mother's life. Naturally, she knew, but yeah. And already soon, like getting a teenager, I would have totally my own life, which was so different from their values and everything. It was the hippie time. But already earlier than that, another interesting thing to share. From the age, maybe 11, 12, I have only one urge, one wish. I have to go, my mission, I have to go to India. It was the hippie time and those elder, they would go to India. But myself, I was a little boy. I had no contact to them. But from within, I had the call. I have to go to India. And every morning I walked like a bird in his own cage, walking up the stairs of the high school. Anyway, time passed by. I got 18. And I didn't wait I passed the high school. This was as much as I wanted to do for my parents. From that on, I would go my own path. So I finished it with medium results because it was so boring. I packed a little bag, like a shoebox, not a boot box. Tied a sleeping bag on top and overland to India. That was in 76. I was 18. And I could talk so much about that journey, but anyway, another time. It would take it too large. When I came back nearly 10, 11 months later to my home, my birthplace, my family, and after nearly a year of seeing life unfiltered here in India, also a period when I had not a penny, totally penniless, living on a VT station in Bombay. It was fantastic. And so on. The whole thing I matured so much that I couldn't even think about going to any university. It would have been just too childish. When I saw it was just too childish. So what happened? Actually, an interesting point to share is, because it's precious. At some point, I had problems with police because of my funny habits, but not too bad. I spent 15 days in jail, where I learned how precious is my freedom. I didn't realize that before. It was a very good lesson. And I went at some point visiting some friends living on a French island, Corsica. And there happened something very interesting. I was getting about 21 then. That was a bit later. So I visited these friends who in my time in Goa, they were like my parents. They were a bit elder. I'm just 18. They're around, she 30, he 40. So they live in a beautiful place in Corsica. Visiting them and having them offering me to stay with them. We give you this cottage. We give you some goats. You can plant your own garden. When suddenly what was my life dream at that point was offered to me on a tray just in once. The first time I met depression. Yeah. When you just suddenly get it. When the donkey was always running after the carrot, suddenly gets the carrot. What it's all about. Just what it is all about. First time I asked myself, what is the sense of life? What it is all about? Like, now we'll get 60 or 70 and that was all? Just having it all and living it? So I started to ask myself first time seriously the question, what I'm here for. And I didn't share it at that time with anyone, but I became agitated inside. I was in turmoil. I was in a volcano. What is this all about? I couldn't give myself the full answer. But I decided, if you give a hand to someone who needs, that's already a good start. If you serve others in need, this is already a good start. And I didn't tell anything to anyone. I just said goodbye and left back to Germany. Went to an old aunt of mine who had left alone with her garden and some animals, where I had been as a child often with my father. I tried to help her, but in this small German village, I'm a full hippie. This old lady had my intention to help in the garden was more than capacity. So this was for a moment only. Let's go to the city again. And in the city, I went and I saw this poster, free yoga course from Ananda Mark at the time. So in short, I learned yoga, got joined with Ananda Mark for a year and a half. I learned, I cleaned my life. We had a very intensive sadhana and a very, very sattvic lifestyle. So I learned discipline, yoga practices, became a yoga teacher with them. For 2 years, I had a very intensive sadhana. Details of it would be nice, but you keep it. So that was my first initiation in this life, with Guru Anandamurti. At one point, the shoe became too small for me, so I had to go on my way. And I had met a woman, which, as it turned out, we had to clear a karma of about 3,000 years ago. With her, from a very yogic lifestyle, I have to go fully into Maya again. Yeah, we are starting from 21. And at the time when Babaji was taking Samadhi, I am in a place called Omkareshwar. I'm living in the jungle. We're living in the jungle on the other side of Kaveri. And in that period, that's when Babaji takes Samadhi here. The fire itself teaches me how to worship it. That's number one. And through a fire worship that the sadhu that suddenly turned up the day we went for shopping like once a week, who does the fire, little thing at the Narmada, suddenly she gets pregnant. Months later, Ganesh is born in a miraculous way. That's when my Saturn is about to return. I'm getting 28. Ganesh is born in a miraculous way, gift of Shiva in many ways. 8 months we spent divine. We are going to buy a house in the south of, everything is arranged perfect. The dream is arranged perfectly. We're going to buy a house from friends in a place in the south of Spain called the Valley of the Eternal Father. All dream. We are free people, everything. We just go back in our nice camper van to Germany to bring the money and live there. We reach there, and suddenly she goes, thank you for these 7 years with you, but now I have to go my own way. It's our child, but I'm the mother, and I will go back to Spain just by myself. She was Spanish, and that's it. And the same day, also our little dog which you had taken further, he disappeared. Just in short, the Kali kiss. All of us shattered to pieces from 1 second to the next. She started the relation with a friend of us in front of my eyes, just to make it clear that was not the relation long. That was just to make it clear, that's it. That was a Kali kiss. One of these nights of total turmoil, I had a meeting with Kali. And I felt behind all the suffering that I had to go through was, as the only reason for it, limitless love. That was the turning point. And then, within a month from that situation between Spain and Germany, Muniraji, my Guruji, pulled me like on a rubber string to his feet in Haldwani. I first took him as a friend only. He let me play the friend game. When after a month, when he had me on his hook of love already, when he ordered me to do Mundan, I had hairs like this, or the hippie. It took me 3 days to really do it. I was also going to go whatsoever. Had he not taken me like a good hunter already so strong on the hook, I would have left. In the end, I did it. And that day, that evening, he not only showed me he's my guru, not just my friend. He took me for a moment into space where all is just a vibrating field. The Om condition, I would say. And then the real work starts. But the second part to it, come back to your roots. Come back to true, simple, lovely way of life. Kash karke, to truthfully communicating and thoughts, words, action on one line, and try it with simplicity. Go sometimes out just to be in nature. Nature itself must not be a guru place, but go more on yourself, not with the gang and you're just in the gang even if you're in nature. No, take some time out. Go to nature, go to a guru ashram, serve a bit. अपने आप अकल आ जाएगा. अपना life को पर new view आ जाएगा. I was very pleased to meet young people from near Haldwani, from Lamachor, Haldwani. Very nice thing for me. I've seen how this country dropped into alcohol. So these whole group, their whole colony, 40 houses, these young people which I met the other day, they saw their father generation dropping in it, spitting and shitting blood. And they decided, this won't happen with us. And they keep such a community of, if somebody really, he must be out. Wonderful. They gather every 15 days for Kirtan program, Bandara. How healthy. So it's a possibility. One can live next to the other. To some extent, like we, from the commodity and the luxury that our parents after wartime run after, we came into the hippie, refusing that, looking for the freedom. We couldn't find it in the hippie style, but it was the stepstone to go for real freedom. So in the same way, I see also now so much young generation, they got the money fast and they understand this is hollow. And they go and do service and search and find. So I think it's just the cyclic thing. What we went through the hippie time, now also I hear also they sit in Mumbai and smoke chillums and all that and go through the party thing to come then later on to the real thing. It's just a wheel. When there we had lost it already, you still had it, then we found it again. The wheel is turning. Either you get lost, like the hippie time, either you get lost in it and you continue this and degenerate, or you take it as a stepstone and go ahead from it. Bole Baba ki jai, Mahamaya ki jai, Mahashakti ki jai, Sima Muniraj Maharaj ki jai. Haidakhan Vishwa Mahadham ki jai.